G'day there folks, it's Connor here again from Marky Industries and we're back with some more stories from Reddit. As always, if you enjoy these videos, be sure to hit like and subscribe and all that stuff, and let's get straight to the stories. Okay, well, on relationships, this one was written by user Yes Of Course I'm Mad, and it's titled, "So it turns out it's not that my father didn't want to have anything to do with me, he didn't even know about me in the first place." The story I got told at 14 was that my dad wasn't my biological father. He was the man who married my mum after I was already born, and basically my mum and dad thought at the time I deserved to know this because a few people in our environment kept saying how I didn't look like him, and I was asking them if I was maybe adopted or something. Yeah, I know. Very little was spoken of the man my mum got pregnant with, but the basic gist of it was that he didn't care about mum being pregnant, didn't want a child in the first place, and then she didn't want anything to do with him any further, so she cut all contact. No child support because my mum's family is well off. I won't bullcrap you and say I wasn't hurt, but I got over it quickly enough with the help of my mum and dad. Sadly, mum and dad got a divorce last year. Just felt like they didn't love each other that way anymore, I guess. They're still good friends with each other though, no drama, for which I'm grateful. Still, this sort of prompted me into thinking about my biological father lately, and I ended up looking him up online. Don't know what I expected to see really, but he's just normal, I guess. I might have been thinking he'd have this kind of a-hole look to him because of how he rejected me before I was even born. Anyway, one night after drinking more than I should with some friends on a night out, I did a stupid thing and sent him a message, basically accusing him how he's horrible, evil, and other less polite words because of how he abandoned me. Next morning, after I actually remembered what I did, I see his reply to me. It's polite but confused, and he has no idea who I am or how I'm supposed to be related to him. I had my dad's last name, saying in the end that I probably got the wrong person and wishing me the best. I don't know, it just ticked me off, even though I was sober and a bit hungover, so I fired up several paragraphs to him about who exactly I am, who my mum is, and what he did to us. His reply came in the evening, and it was quite extensive, but I'll sum it up for you. They broke up with each other on bad terms after they were together for a little over a year. She never mentioned any pregnancy to him, and when he tried to contact her later afterwards because he felt like crap about how it ended, she rebuffed him and blocked him, and that was the last time he tried getting in touch with her. Needless to say, me being ticked off at him was gone in a flash, and now my father was the one angry at my mum for doing this. I was wondering how I would talk to my mum about what I found out, but I didn't have to bother because my father contacted her first and confronted her about her hiding me from him. We're getting to know each other slowly, mostly over the internet, though we talked a few times over a video chat because he doesn't live in the same country as us. It'll be time soon enough to meet in real life, and I'm nervous like hell. But by all accounts and the way he's talked to me and held back on sharing me with the rest of his family, I think I'm going to like him a lot. Why the F did she do it? She says she has no idea why she really did this, blames it on pregnancy and stuff, but I don't see how the pregnancy could have influenced her for my whole life. I love her, but there's times when it's just the two of us and I can't help but hate her for denying the both of us a chance to know each other as I grew up. I can tell my father has heard about this, though he doesn't talk about it directly, and my mum probably can guess how I feel, given that she just starts tearing up at times she sees I'm angry or being curt with her. I'm split in half, happy when I'm talking with my father, but mad like hell when I talk to my mum after. I want all this to get better, but at the same time, I want her to hurt. What do I do now? Yeah, above my pay grade. Let's go to the comments. I'd actually suggest you and your real father take a DNA test to verify things. And your mother knows why she chose what she chose. It was only 17 years ago. Your dad who raised you might know something too. Did you ask him? Opie replies, "Sorry, I wrote this in one go, completely forgot to put in his side of things. My dad had no clue either about what happened. He only came into our lives when I was around 3 or 4 years old, and he took what my mum said to him as the truth, and didn't know otherwise until I talked with him about it recently. And the test was already done. He's my father. Mum keeps saying she doesn't really know." These kinds of things can become sticky and tricky. I would sit your mum down and talk to her about this. Tell her what you know. Tell her you're angry, deservedly. And tell her that you don't want to be angry at her forever, but you don't know how to get past this. Opie replies, I did talk with her, though I'll be the first one to admit it was less talk and more just throwing out one question after another with her not answering and crying. I just want to know why, and she's not telling me crap. I asked her if he was abusive to her, if he cheated, if he did anything to deserve something like this. But no, he apparently didn't do anything wrong. My father says they were just people that clicked poorly at times and didn't communicate well, so it kept escalating until it blew up in their faces. Then again, they were teenagers. Well, he was. My mum's older than him by a few years, so that's no surprise. Opie comments on her parents' ages when she was conceived. She was 24 when she got pregnant. My dad will always be my dad. The fact that I've found out the truth about my father doesn't negate the relationship we have or the fact that he raised me as his own. He'll always be my dad, even if I grow close to my biological father as I've grown close to my dad over the years. And he knows this. I made sure of it. And I think you really have your math wrong. My father was 19 when my mum, who's 5 years older than him, got pregnant. Even if he was 17, which he wasn't, it wouldn't matter, since I just checked and the age of consent where we are is 14. Okie dokie, onto an update 1 month later. I found out why she told me the lie that my biological father didn't want me. It's maddeningly simple and stupid. She was basically getting to know my dad, her now ex-husband, and he wanted to know about my father's involvement in our lives. Put on the spot, she made out this ridiculous story about how he didn't really care for having a child. They didn't keep in touch, and over the years it evolved into a freaking theatre play, which is what I got years down the line when I asked about my father. My dad, I guess, didn't want to put salt on the wound, so he just avoided that subject in the future, until I asked about it. That's it. That's the whole reason why I didn't know my father for my whole life up until recently. No, really. Because she didn't want to look like some spiteful, crazy woman who neglected to tell someone they're a father. She made this up, which is some bitter irony for her, because she does look like a crazy and spiteful woman with the lies she told about my father. I'm so mad at her. I can still barely control my anger around her. All I want to do is hurt her until she feels really hurt like I was when I found I missed out on knowing my father all along, and him getting to know me as well. I restrain myself more often than not, but goddamn, this isn't something that's going to be just pushed to the side. I don't know what we'll do, and I know that sometime in the future I'll probably re-establish having a good relationship with my mother, but right now, it's just not happening. But on the brighter side of things, I met my father. Some people mentioned in the last thread that I should be careful how, when and where I met him. Someone thought I'd be flying out of our country to meet him, I think. But given how everyone that knew him back then and now had nothing but good to say about him, I connected with my father's side of the family, have plenty of cousins, aunts, uncles, and so on to talk with and meet, and it's a bit overwhelming just how many of them there are and how overjoyed they were to find out about me. I gave him a few more dates when we could meet, and he picked this last weekend. He flew back on the Friday, visited his parents, my grandparents, and man, that's so weird, how I have another set of grandparents to the whole mix, and then we met up. I really don't know what I was expecting. I mean, yes, we talked, and he seemed very understanding and kind and good and so very interested in meeting me, but I guess there was just that effed up fear of him not liking what he actually saw and leaving. No, really, thanks for this crap, Mum. It didn't matter in the least. As soon as we met, there was just this moment. I don't know how to describe it. I don't really think I've ever had anything like that before, and he just hugged me, and I could feel him shaking. I think he was holding himself back from crying, and I started crying for no real reason, and then we talked, and just spent the rest of the day together. We pretty much spent the whole weekend together. From the moment I got up, we talked, and by the time he was boarding his flight, I didn't want him to leave ever again, and he won't, not really. He wanted to know everything about me, and I mean literally everything. And I guess what really made me actually love him is him asking to meet my dad, asking me if that was okay with me, and then thanking him for his part in raising me. They talked some more with each other while I was busy with something else, and I think they became sort of friends. I don't really know what to call their relationship. So to all of you who helped me deal with my fricked up situation, thank you, from the bottom of my heart, thank you. Even if it seemed like I was just venting out loud on the internet, thank you. Thank you all. Except those 1 or 2 people who thought my father is an assaulter and an abuser. Seriously, WTF? Yeah, there's always a couple, but man, what a great ending there. And it's great to see that the dad and, biological dad are seemingly becoming friends. Let's read some final comments. Dad and father liking each other, that's a damn good sign. Both of them wanted to make sure their daughter would be safe. Both left her mother. I'm seeing a pattern here. It's a special level of awful to not only not tell the father he had a daughter, but to also let the daughter think her father wanted nothing to do with her. Yeah, abandonment is a major trauma that people will deal with for their entire lives. Just look at her. She had a mum and a dad that raised her and she was close with, but being abandoned by her dad stuck with her until she had to confront it. Doing that to a child is beyond cruel. Yeah, and there's seemingly no good reason for the mum to do it as well, which just makes it even more worse. Anyway guys, that's the end of that story. As always, I'd love to hear your thoughts down in the comments below. Either way, we're going to move on to another one. Okay, we're over on Am I the A-hole? This one was written by user SadWife148, and it's titled, Am I the a-hole for telling my husband it was his choice to open our marriage, and I am not closing it? I, 40 female, married my husband, 42, 18 years back. We have one daughter, 16, and a son, 14. We met in college and fell in love. My husband lost his parents in an accident, and as a friend I consoled him and we became close. We are from the same city, and he lived around 10 kilometers from my house, so we just clicked. Our marriage has our own share of ups and downs, but financially we're in a good place. I own a house gifted by my parents, and he inherited his parents' house after their passing away. I run my own bridal boutique and make good money. He is an insurance head. We have bought multiple properties and build our future together and for our children. We also have created mutual wills in case one parent has to pass away. His or her share of assets will go to our children only, irrespective of living parent marrying again or not. Last year, my husband started distancing and I was worried. He started ignoring me, stopped getting physical, etc. In the end, he told me he finds me fat, ugly, and he doesn't get a turn on. I was so busy in raising kids and my business that I stopped caring about it. He said he doesn't want to destroy the family, but he wants to have sex outside marriage. He said he won't be a hypocrite and I can do the same. I cried and begged, but he didn't listen. After weeks of crying and self-pity, I accepted his proposal. I also started working out, and guys in the gym started hitting on me. I have had my share of hookups and fun, but finally I'm getting along with a man who is 35. He treats me on dates and sex is good. I also changed my dressing from traditional to more western and sexy and have lost weight. I have nice curves too. My husband, luckily or sadly, didn't have such luck. He is tall and all, but he overrated his chances. He got hookups here and there, but barely they repeated him. He thought he could woo girls with money, but girls today are independent and can't be wooed with money only. I was going on dates when my kids were at my parents' and he was ticked. He said not to go. I didn't care and went. Now he's saying he wants to close the marriage, and I just laughed at him. I told him this is the arrangement he wanted, and I am honoring it. I am enjoying the attention these hunks give me, and it's not my fault women don't want him. He started calling me names, and I called him a man whore. He's threatening divorce, and I'm fine with it because our laws favor women more. I pointed that out to him. He started crying and begging to close the marriage again, but I'm refusing. Edit. 35 male is in divorce process and our country takes years to have divorce if wife isn't consenting. We're taking it slow, but he's an amazing man. Our children have no idea and we're involved parents. Stop stressing about them. Also planning to get divorced when both are in college. P.S. Who thinks it's fake? You can believe what you want. I don't have to prove anything here. I'm here for judgment. In edit, I had to add people who are blaming me for staying fat. Despite both working, my evenings went to teaching kids and taking care of the household. He thought it's a woman's job to do so. He was only the fun dad. In the mornings I had to prepare breakfast for all. I had to help with the house and cleaning and dishes, but I barely had time to work out. Now I've hired a cook and kids who can take care of themselves. It gives me free time to work on myself. If he wanted a model, he could have reduced his tummy in his daily sports and helped me as well, thank you. And men in the comments section victimizing my husband? Expected. Keep barking. Yeah, a tale as old as time. The guy wanting to open it up and then not getting anything when he does. Let's go to the comments. Has there ever been a guy who requested to open up the marriage who wasn't vastly overestimating his chances with women? Oof, not the a-hole. It's not really opening the marriage if you didn't want. He just really wanted to cheat on you without consequences. I get the feeling that even if you didn't agree, he'd still shoot his shot with other women. But I'd go ahead and get that divorce. He doesn't respect your opinion or care about hurting you. Not the a-hole. Move on with someone that treats you like a person. Everyone sucks here. He's a douchebag, but it sucks that you only took care of your body once you wanted to attract other men. It sucks that he called you ugly, but you did something about it, not to gain his attention back, but to gain others. And for that, you're all a-holes. Poor kids. Alright, let's go to an update. Well, I realized there is no point in petty revenge. As the kids were at my parents' house, we discussed plans, and I told them I have no love and respect for him left, nor do I find him attractive anymore. I told him if he wants to make a tough divorce process, he will lose more, as our laws are very tough on men. So let's make an easy divorce with fair division of properties where I contributed more anyways. There were tears and begging, but I stood firm and asked for a divorce. I showed him proof and said if he ever tried to shame me in front of our kids, I had his visual and text proofs with me too, so we called a truce. Next day we involved our lawyers, the neighbours' family friends, and drew up our property and fund division verbally. It was quite clear. The marital house is mine. He is moving to his inherited house a few kilometres away. We have acquired multiple properties and we will divide them on value. The savings will be divided and we have our retirement plans. He also blurted out that he has a young widow girlfriend. I said good luck and happy life. We told our kids that we loved them, but we're going to divorce. Of course, they were devastated, but we assured them that we are here for them forever and will co-parent. They are still upset and will hire a therapist to make the process smoother for them. Also, my friend with benefits divorce process is going and I told him about mine. He said to get serious about our relationship. I don't know if it's love or not, but I like him and we're going to take it slow. I want my kids to be 18 before I marry again. Note, he was already in the divorce process for years, even before we started hanging out, so no, I'm not a homewrecker. P.S. To all crybaby men who are crying for my husband and asking me why I didn't lose weight, wake up 5 a.m. in the morning, I do the chores for the lazy man and kids, then go to work, come evening, do chores again till night, and then tell me about working out. You just couldn't handle a woman giving the same dose of medicine to a man, and blamed me more, and gave him very less blame. This shows your double standards. I only became fat birthing his children. Birth does things to your body. What about his hairy tummy, without birthing or any medical issues? I hired a cook from my personal fund money since he didn't want to contribute for it. That's why I didn't hire her earlier, as it was causing issues to our budget. I took the hit after he called me fat and ugly. I hope your fathers and sons do the same to their wives and then you can lecture me. So if you live in 1950 where the wife should look sexy, do chores, birth your kids and be available as a maid, then you are as pathetic. So F you. You are male chauvinistic pigs. And anyone who thinks it's fake, I don't owe you anything anyways. Edit, and someone said my English is Gen Z. Guess what? It's not my first language and we used WhatsApp outside of America. We like such abbreviations. Shocking? Age isn't a factor here. I'm a business shop owner. My dealings are in local language. I studied in Hindi, a medium school, and English is self-learned. It must be shocking for Westerners to realize the world doesn't need to learn every aspect of English. I'm also deleting my account. For men and pigs, keep seething and cope in my comment section. Women can make you cry in your game if they want. We don't because we value our family and kids, but try them and hurt them. They can best you at your own game. I decided not to delete it. Trash racist Western men are crying in my comment section. Their tears give me joy. Keep crying. Yeah, I just read that verbatim because I thought it was pretty funny. I guess it's getting a bit heated in the comment section here. Let's read some more. I'm a man and I have literally zero respect for men who complain about fat women or a fat partner while being a fat lazy POS themselves, lol. They complain like, why don't women like gamers or men who play with Legos? My guy, there are men with loving partners who do that. It's the fact you have a double standard of putting all your time into your hobbies while being out of shape, while expecting a partner who is in shape. I'll never understand men that don't comprehend the gap in ability to find casual sex partners between men and women. If his wife is a female, 6 to 7, then he needs to be a male 10 to get the same play on the casual sex market. And to jump to wanting to step out of the marriage rather than saying, "Hey babe, let's work on getting healthier and in shape together," is just a sign you don't deserve that person. As someone who was in a number of swinger and poly groups, I was constantly amazed at the contrast between women second-guessing themselves and their sad self-esteem. And I mean, there was no difference between women who were conventionally unattractive and women who were stunning. And the unbelievable confidence every cishet dude walked in with, positive that Softy was about to rain down upon him. It was hilarious to me every single time that the women got so much more attention, and he would just be sitting there, alone and confused, with his sad dick out, every single time. Congrats on losing about 180 pounds in one day. Best wishes to your kid and to you in your new life. Your ex is probably trying to make you jealous, talking about his young girlfriend. Don't even pay it any mind. The best revenge is living well, and you're doing it. Alrighty guys, I'm going to end it there. Yeah, pretty entertaining story, if nothing else. I personally love the keep barking comments she was telling to the commenters, or, keep seething and cope. Pretty funny way to retort. Anyway guys, let me know your thoughts about that one, and we'll move on again. Okay guys, for something a bit different, we're on the Aerials subreddit. This is written by user Madison Brave, and it's titled, "My cousin asked my daughter to perform at her wedding reception, but became bitter upon seeing the positive reception to her act. She has since posted about her online, and my daughter is considering quitting." I hope this is okay to share here. The reason I'm posting is because of my daughter who's been hurt in the aftermath of a recent performance. I'm sorry in advance for how long this turned out, but any advice from fellow aerialists would be greatly appreciated. My cousin Dana, not real name, had her wedding 2 weeks ago, and she asked if my daughter could perform at her reception. My daughter, Jane, also a fake name, has practiced silks and lyra for the past few years at a nearby circus studio, and she's also performed with and through the studio at small gigs. She hopes to continue into adulthood and become a professional teacher, but this recent incident has shaken her confidence. She has a private Instagram to document her progress and performances, and I only post certain performances on my Facebook, her first gig with the studio, and her first recital, to name a few we're proud of. Some of our relatives saw her performances through my socials, and they watched her perform at her studio's Christmas recital when we hosted Christmas at our home a few years back, something that surprised her when they visited early to see her. I love how they coordinated that, and Jane said it was her loudest cheering section to date. Dana was one of the relatives who came up early to see her Christmas recital, and she's always been super supportive. She asked me if Jane would be willing to perform at the reception, and I asked on her behalf. Jane was honoured and excited when I did, and we had already had a portable rig for her too, though we ended up renting a taller one from her studio. Dana got the idea from a YouTube video featuring an aerialist who performed at a wedding reception, and she showed us while requesting white silks and a white outfit. We scoped out the venue and purchased white silks along with a white costume that Dana approved of, and Jane was really excited throughout. Jane even worked on choreography to a song that Dana requested, and she put a lot of time into it, even asking one of her coaches to help her with it. Dana insisted on paying her for the gig, despite Jane not expecting to be paid, and she paid her a few hundred. However, Dana's had a change of heart. Jane received a standing ovation after her performance that surprised her, but we didn't know anything was wrong until Dana went on Facebook a few days later. Dana said she didn't approve of the outfit Jane wore, and that she specifically told her not to wear white. She also said my husband and I pressured her to have Jane perform, and that the performance gave off an unclassy vibe, lies that my husband and I couldn't believe. We sent Dana numerous costume links, and we purchased the one she liked. There was also nothing wrong with Jane's performance. Dana was one of the people cheering afterward. Jane received nothing but compliments afterward, but I'm disgusted that she had to see that post after all the work she put into it. The post also had comments disabled for what it's worth. I called to Dana to confront her about the lies, but she didn't pick up numerous calls. I then called her parents, who, like us, had received messages about her post, and they said that Dana was wrong. They apologized on her behalf and said they were also disgusted. Dana's mum also said that Dana vented to her before making her post a few days after the reception. Dana told her she regretted asking Jane to perform, given the attention, the compliments and cheers she received for it. Her mum also said that she felt upstaged with Jane wearing white, and having to hear how good she was. Dana's parents tried to call her after she made her post, but she didn't answer after their previous conversation ended with her parents telling her she shouldn't be bitter because she specifically asked Jane to perform. Dana's parents reported the post along with us and others, and we've told the truth to those who reached out along with a post to explain our side and stand up for Jane. We have text proof of sending costume links that Dana chose from. Dana's parents also requested to talk to Jane on the phone to apologise for Dana's behaviour, and my husband and I told Jane that Dana was wrong and that we'll be distancing ourselves from Dana permanently. Dana's parents were surprised at her behaviour, and we were too, having seen her grow up. Granted, we only see extended family for Thanksgiving and Christmas because we live far, but other relatives were surprised too, as it seemed to come from left field. Maybe there's a side of Dana we'll never know from our limited holiday and milestone interactions, but our focus is Jane. We've tried to cheer Jane up by offering to take her to dinner, among other activities, but she's been hurting, which is why I'm here. Jane hasn't practiced, at home or the studio, since the reception, and I don't want to invade her space at her studio by asking or telling anyone there in case she doesn't want anyone to know. She asked me to return the white silks and costume after being so excited to receive them. She also said she's going to take an extended break from Ariel to reconsider if she wants to continue. Aside from Ariel, she's taken a break from seeing non-Ariel friends too, choosing to pretty much keep to herself. We would appreciate any advice from fellow Arielists on how to lift her spirits. We remind her of how we're proud of her, along with the many compliments she received, but she's asked for space and to not talk about it. We're going to respect that and let time do its thing, but we'll consider any advice from other Arielists who can relate to the time and work she put in. Sorry for this being so long, but we appreciate anyone who read and take the time to reply. That is weird. And I don't know about you guys, but I don't really buy the explanation that she was upstaged and, she feels a little bit jealous about that. Maybe she's like really short of money and she doesn't want to pay Jane, and this is her excuse not to, or something. God, I don't know. Let's go to the comments. A grown-ass woman being jealous of a 16-year-old. I'm sorry that Jane and Opie have to go through this. I really hope this doesn't stop Jane continuing to learn, perform, and fulfill her dream of teaching one day. 16 is a rough age, and this will no doubt have rattled her. Hopefully, by doing what you're doing, OP, she'll come back around once she's had some time to feel the feelings and process. For now, all you can do is be there for her and let her know she's done nothing wrong. This is entirely the cousin's issue and has no reflection on who Jane is as a person or as a performer. Dana is toxic AF, and I'm sorry you guys have such a selfish idiot in your family. Good luck, OP. Fingers crossed Jane will be flying high and have forgotten Dana's nonsense in the near future. Stay strong. Reassure Jane that she did nothing wrong, and use this as an example of how people can be crappy and jealous, and we are not responsible for the feelings of others. This is an important life lesson for anyone, and she'll benefit from internalizing it now, especially if she moves forward with a performing career. This kind of reminds me of the Bridgerton ball that hired an aerialist and asked her to do pole and picked out a skimpy outfit. Even the aerialist suggested more elegant acts with silks or hair hanging, and the aftermath of her being dragged through the mud going viral as trashy, she did exactly what the event planners asked her to. Sometimes that's how doing your job goes. I'm sorry it happened to someone so young and impressionable. What a crappy cousin. This is a rare story on this site where everyone, except the villain, does everything right. If this happened to an adult or even an older teenager, she would probably still be hurt, but be able to see that Dana is the one with the issue. But at 16, she's still forming her idea of herself. It sounds like she's taking this all on as a reflection of herself. I'm not someone who can be in the spotlight. My desire to perform hurts my family. I would really consider therapy. You could say all the right things to her, and I bet you have, but at 16, it's hard to hear your mum. Alternatively, and I'm sorry to say this, but is it possible that Dana's new husband gave Jane any inappropriate attention? That might explain why Dana is so upset when she presumably should have known exactly what to expect, although certainly wouldn't excuse it. If there were any opportunities for Jane and the new husband to be alone, I would really look into that also, because it would also explain why Jane hasn't practiced since the reception, even though the drama started a few days later. It is an extreme place to go, but I would just ask yourself if there was an opportunity for him to be inappropriate because she is withdrawing from her entire social life. When I was a teenager, driving up to the next city over helped me sometimes. Want to take a drive? Is still a question I ask myself when I feel stuck and hopeless. Go to the big aquarium and get cannolis at the outlet mall or something equally random. Maybe she'll open up or get out of her head, and maybe you'll just have a nice day. Lots of love to you and your family. Yeah, fingers crossed whatever that comment's referring to didn't happen here, but yeah, there's also some good ideas on how to handle this. Okay, OP updates. Before I get into what's happened since my last post, I want to thank everyone who took the time to comment. 2 pieces of advice really stood out, and I'll get to them shortly. Since my original post, Dana's Facebook post is gone. I don't know if she deleted it or enough people reported it for Facebook to remove it, but we're glad it's gone. She never apologized to us or Jane or even bothered to call, so our position on being permanently done with Dana stands. My husband and I made a post on my Facebook addressing the lies she spewed about our daughter, and we shared photo proof of Dana's text where she approved of Jane's white costume from links we sent, not to mention the song choice she sent us too. Better yet, Dana's mother reposted it on her account, which really surprised me. Dana's mother wrote that they loved Jane's act and that they disapproved of Dana's actions. My husband and I also made sure that Jane was okay with us addressing it on Facebook, and she said it was fine. Normally, I wouldn't use Facebook to address drama if aimed at me, but since this involves a grown adult attacking a minor, we felt the need to address it publicly because she disparaged her publicly, and Jane will remember whether we stood up for her or not years from now. I had a chance to speak with Dana's mother since my original post on the phone, and she spoke to Dana again since our last call. Dana reiterated how she regretted asking Jane to perform, but she harped on the standing ovation that bothered her the most. Dana told her that she expected Jane to get some polite applause, but that the overwhelming response really set her over the edge because she expected the loudest cheers to be when she and her husband entered the reception, but that went to Jane instead. Dana and her husband also received a great reception when they entered the reception, but Jane's performance did too, and Dana didn't expect it. Heck, even Jane was surprised by it too. She's never received a standing ovation from a solo act before. But Dana's mother believes that if Dana had asked someone to sing who received a similar reception, Dana's jealousy would have been all the same. Someone suggested seeing if Jane would be interested in speaking to a therapist, given how hurtful Dana's comments could be for a teen, and Jane said she's open to it, so long as it isn't a counsellor at school, because, as of now, she doesn't want anyone at school or her studio to know about the incident, and she vaguely told the coach who helped her choreograph that it went fine. We will respect her privacy request as it's her right to control the narrative, but in the same vein, I'd suggested therapy for Dana to Dana's mother since her reaction might be a bigger insecurity, and she said she'd ask. The other thing someone suggested was the possibility of Dana's husband, or anyone, making an inappropriate comment to Jane during the reception that made her shut down and not want to see friends or practice days before Dana's post. My husband decided to ask her, and Jane said no when he did. If something happened, perhaps she'd be more comfortable telling a therapist with time. But on the bright side, she said she might want to try a different aerial studio because she doesn't want to answer questions about how it went, or share a video at her home studio. So we'll help her find somewhere new as she asked. We hope she doesn't permanently leave her current studio because she has friends and coaches who are supportive, and she performs with that studio's troupe at festivals and gigs. But I personally understand the need to sometimes go somewhere where nobody knows you for a break, and we hope that will help her. She hasn't said definitely yet, but if she does, we'll take her. She still wants an extended break from aerial in the meantime, but even if or when she goes back, she said she may never want to perform again and would rather do it leisurely. One of the reasons she doesn't want to return to her home studio where she's a part of their troupe. She asked if we'd tell her troupe coach that she won't perform with them anymore if it comes to it, and if that's what she wants down the road, then we will. Hopefully time heals this wound and helps her at least keep the friends she has there, but we can only hope. Moving on to a final update. This is going to be the last time I update, and I want to thank everyone who gave advice. In my last post, I mentioned that Jane said she'd be open to talking to a professional so long as it wasn't anyone from her school, and we agreed to accommodate her. However, she changed her mind shortly after and said she wanted to talk to her coach instead, whom she'd been brushing off since the reception and being vague about how it went. She and her coach put a lot of time into choreographing the act for Dana, and she didn't even charge her for the sessions to do so. Her coach is also part of her Circus Studios performing troupe, and she's always been supportive and understanding. We supported her decision to talk with her coach, and they did in person. It was after they spoke that Jane spoke to me following her coach's suggestion to do so, and I'm going to be somewhat vague about certain details of our discussion. She also asked to speak to me first before we'd talk to my husband afterwards, and that's what we did. Jane opened up about how Dana sent a private message to her Instagram the day after the reception, but to her personal Instagram and not the private circus one. Dana's private message was just as bitter as her Facebook posts, but much more hurtful. Dana called Jane derogatory sexual terms in her message, and I can't express how angry my husband and I still are. Jane said she was surprised upon receiving the message. Dana was always supportive of her craft, and she gave her a standing ovation along with her husband. Looking back, Dana probably did because everyone else was doing so, but Dana also wrote that she only received the ovation because they were family who were biased and couldn't tell the difference between a good and bad aerialist. Jane blocked Dana long before we spoke, and she said she was hurt because Dana was one of the relatives who came up for Christmas early when we hosted some years back to attend her studio's Christmas recital, which surprised her, and we all went out to dinner afterwards too. My husband and I tried our best to remind her that Dana's reaction was a reflection of her insecurities rather than anything Jane did. If the best man gave a speech that garnered the same reaction, Dana would have directed her vitriol at him. Jane said she understood that it wasn't her fault, but there was more in Dana's message that hurt her confidence, such as bodily comments that were disgusting. She said she may return to aerial at some point, but that she still needs time and is unsure about performing again, compared to doing it leisurely. We told her, among other things, that we commended her decision to speak with her coach and that we'll respect her ultimate decision. Jane also said that she didn't tell us immediately because she wasn't sure if she wanted further drama with Dana if we told her parents about her message. However, after some time, she said she actually wanted us to tell them because she felt that Dana deserved repercussions for it. She said she was surprised that Dana's parents called her out publicly on Facebook without knowing about the message, so that made her feel comfortable with us telling them. Jane also saved a screenshot of Dana's message, and while we agreed to tell her parents, we suggested that she'd delete it afterwards because it's not good to carry around hurtful things. She's also still open to speaking to a professional about the other stuff in Dana's message that's more hurtful, so long as it's no one from her school. We are in the process of trying to find a therapist who can help with some of the infidelities that led to her shutdown in the weeks after the performance. I honestly cannot thank her coach enough, but I just want to touch on a few more things that were suggested in the comments. I received a few DMs saying we were just as bad as Dana for addressing Dana's lies on Facebook, so I want to be clear. My husband and I rarely use Facebook, and if someone had started drama with me on a Facebook post, I wouldn't use Facebook to address it personally. I'd opt for a call instead. But since she disparaged a minor publicly with lies regarding costumes that we had text proof of her approving, we felt the need to post those messages, proving that she signed off on them, and we asked Jane if she was okay with it first. The other thing a few people asked was whether her costume was potentially inappropriate. The costume we purchased came from a website that many professional circus performers use, including some who used to be in Cirque du Soleil, and tagged the shop while wearing it on their socials, and we purchased other costumes from there in the past. Heck, some of their costumes have been used in wedding gigs by hired circus performers too. Jane's costume also received many compliments, but we're glad Jane realizes that she isn't responsible for Dana's insecurities. This was also Jane's first negative experience in her young performing career. Despite knowing Dana is entirely at fault, her words still hurt as they were close before this. Jane has kept in contact with her coach since, and she's even considering a different apparatus to take her mind off her silks that is temporarily tainted. We hope that time and therapy will help her with whatever she chooses, but her coach has also floated the idea of organising a hangout with her troupe completely outside of aerial, like a zipline or rope course day, to get her mind off of it while seeing her friends, and she said she'd be open to it. Dana's parents also sent Shari's berries for Jane, which was really sweet, and Jane sent them a text to thank them too. Regarding Dana's parents, I discussed the private message with Dana's mother, and she was even more disgusted than before. She said that she and her husband would deal with it and that there'd be permanent changes to their relationship with Dana until she apologizes, and then some. She also apologized to us on her behalf and said she didn't raise her to be like that. But for what it's worth, even before we mentioned Dana's message, she told me that Dana's husband wasn't thrilled with her Facebook post, among other things Dana complained about regarding the wedding, things that I had no clue about. She also said she's not sure if they'll be together much longer due to other things going on too. But I'll keep this to Jane only and hope that she comes back to Ariel someday, or even a different apparatus if she chooses. Alrighty folks, and that's the end of that one. I saw a comment saying that Dana's doing a speed run of tanking her marriage, and I couldn't agree more. Anyway guys, I'm going to leave it there. Let me know your thoughts down below. That's it from me today. Hope you guys enjoyed those stories. Thanks for making it to the end, and I'll see you all in the next video. Have a good day. Cheers.